What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video on the retail realms. We're actually going to be talking about the upcoming patch for the War Within 11.1. Now this patch has sweeping class changes to almost every specialization in the game, including Retribution, and it has PvP talent adjustments for almost every specialization in the game, which is really, really cool. The first thing I want to do is one, this is going to be a fairly short video. I'm going to have a more in-depth look at these changes in the future. And two, we're going to just go over them really quickly. All right. So first up here, I have the Paladin class changes right here. Now, these changes can be found on MMO Champion. The seal of Crusader healing reduced by 50%. Not great, not great. Seal of the Crusader currently on retail is one of our top healing abilities, especially if you're playing double fervor stacks, or double two talent points into what's it called here? Zealot's fervor. Yeah, not ideal, not ideal, but also not the worst change because of some later talent changes that we get. Lightforged Blessing now heals for 1% of health. It was 2%. No one plays this, so no big deal. At least no one plays this in PvP. A just reward now has a more just reward. I like the wording of this patch note. Its healing is increased by 140%. Interesting. All right. So a just reward is actually the talent that I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos where it was added. It's an added heal to our cleanse toxins. So if this is buffed by 140%, I wonder if that's going to make it playable. Could be interesting. I would always like to take cleanse the toxins again. It's very helpful against rogues, and maybe with some of the other talent points that we'll have freeing up, because I'm not entirely sure we'll be taking Seal of the Crusader. We could then take a just reward. I don't know. Blind and rep now break on damage threshold instead of breaking on any damage. Excellent, excellent. So that means, at least I'm hoping that means, that consecration will not break blinding light and repentance. Let's cross our fingers. It says threshold. Hopefully that threshold is lower or higher than the damage threshold of consecrated blade consecration. Really cool change. Now, my personal favorite of all the upcoming changes right here, Herald of the Sun, Dawnlight now prefers player targets over creatures and summons. This is excellent. That means that our proc Dawnlights from our Radiant Glory will now actually be effective. Huge buff to Dawnlight and Herald of the Sun. And even more so with Templar here, Empyrean Hammer now prefers player targets over creatures and summons. This one is huge. Absolutely massive. Or at least I think it will be. And that's because the popularity of pet classes, not even just the popularity of pet classes, but almost every class has some type of summons or pet now, and all those pets, they eat the damage of Empyrean Hammer. So as Templar now, we'll actually gain the benefit of Empyrean Hammers for their damage, not just their Light's Deliverance stacks. And I know sometimes you can get lucky and have Empyrean Hammer actually hit the target that you want it to hit, but oftentimes, more than not, I swear, like 30 to 40% of Empyrean Hammer damage was not actually going on useful targets. Now at least it will be chipping away at some healer's mana, even if it's hitting an off target. So this is a huge buff to Templar. Then the Hammer of Light implementation has been revamped to resolve issues such as casting delays, tuning difficulties, and the limited scalability of its infrastructure. I could not tell you guys what this means. However, what I'm thinking is that this actually might be a nerf. And the main reason I think that this might be a nerf is because if they're fixing the pacing of Hammer of Light, it might not actually give us the 6 stacks of Crusade right off the bat. If that is the case, then this is a nerf. If that is not the case, then I guess we don't have to worry about this. But in the current interactions right now, there is a slight delay in Hammer of Light going off when you press it. And if you're running Radiant Glory plus Crusade, what that does is it makes it so every time you Hammer of Light from 0 stacks or 1 stack, whatever, you get 5 stacks. So you end on 6 stacks of Crusade, and that 6 stack actually applies its damage buff to the initial cast of Hammer of Light. So, 1, I don't really know what all this jargon means, but 2, it actually could be a fairly significant nerf, which would suck. Hammer of Light now displays the correct amount of damage done by its secondary target damage effect for Ret Paladins. Cool. So we get to read our details a little more accurately. Nice, nice. All right, so let's go to the Ret changes down here. So Flash of Light healing increased by 35%. Excellent. This is good change, especially since, you know, they're nerfing Seal the Crusader, which means maybe we'll take Selfless Healer and we'll take Light Celerity, and we can actually have some functioning Flash of Lights and off healing with our active abilities, which is really cool. I always prefer having active abilities be more impactful than passives. And I actually do think Selfless Healer is a decent talent right now. It's just like, you can't really pick it up. So since they're going to nerf Seal the Crusader, maybe we can move a point over to Selfless Healer. We'll see, we'll see. Word of Glory's mana cost has been increased by 15% to 10%, or was 10%. I don't like that. But also not that big a deal, I think. I hope. Yeah, I hope this is not that big a deal, but we'll see. We'll see. Healing Hands now only functions to increase Word of Glory's healing on the Paladin themselves. Was increased healing on allies. Why? I don't know why. Maybe this is more of a PvE change. And if that's the case, then I really hope they unnerf Healing Hands in PvP. Because Ret's off healing is not that great. It's self healing, and its passive off healing is pretty decent, but its targeted healing on teammates is not that great. But again, I don't think this is the most major concern because of another later talent change that we'll go over. Divine Toll will now cast Judgment at units near your main target, even if you're not in combat with them. Cool. Okay, this is more of a PvE targeted change if you're opening with the Divine Toll. All right, let's go over the PvP talents real quick. The PvP talent changes for Ret. Where are we? Dungeons, items, players. All right. And Paladin. New PvP talent, Shining Revelation. The light reveals all enemies in stealth or invisible to you while under the effect of Divine Shield. This effect lingers for 20 seconds after Divine Shield fades. There is no practical use for this talent. There is no practical use for this talent. This is another, what's it called? This is another Ultimate Retribution. And the reason for this is you don't need to see stealthed enemies in order to not get capped on in high-rated BG Blitz. That is not how you use Divine Shield. If it was a different cooldown, then maybe I could see something like this. But you will never pop a Divine Shield in order to find a stealth enemy. And if a rogue then vanishes during the bubble opener on you, that's the only situation where this talent would have any sort of viability. But that's such a niche scenario that I don't feel like this is ever going to be played in a competitive environment. I could be wrong. And the reason I could be wrong is the following. Luminescence has been redesigned, and Old Reckoning has been removed, and Lawbringer has been removed. So we no longer have any throughput talents. We have no DPS increased talents in the PvP tree for Ret anymore, which means this talent could be chosen based purely off the fact that everything's utility now. I'm not sure if that's the direction that they're taking for all PvP talents in general. If that's the case, then it could be cool to have because we're not necessarily sacrificing anything for this talent. But this is just a very, very, very niche talent, in which case, like a talent like Searing Glare or Spellbreaker would be taken in its place almost every single time. So I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but I personally will probably never play that. And then Luminescence has been redesigned. Lightbearer's healing transfer is increased up to 200% based on your current health. Excellent for Arena. Not necessarily going to be taken in all BG Blitz maps because usually you're solo sitting nodes, but this could definitely see some play. And it's a little more interesting than a passive 2% damage and healing increase for everyone. But overall, I don't think that this is going to be something super crazy, just like original Luminescence wasn't super crazy. All in all, I really think that more needs to be done with the Ret PvP talents. Nothing about Shining Revelation excites me. Nothing about another passive heal excites me. The only semi-exciting PvP talent that we had for Or Reckoning procs, that's removed. Lawbringer was removed in my mind whenever they nerfed it down to 2%. It was unplayable. So even though it's removed, no one ever played it anyway. I do think that there will need to be some sort of PvP damage buff for if they're going to remove Or Reckoning. Or Reckoning is outside of your burst window, so it does contribute to your overall damage. It makes your Crusading Strike hit pretty decently hard and give you a proc of wings. It's especially nice with Crusade to give you added time on Crusade. Overall, this really sucks. Removing Or Reckoning sucks, but I'm not giving up. I'm not going to say like they're not going to do future changes and give us some sort of PvP damage buff. I will say that I'm not nothing on this excites me. What does excite me is the excellent changes that they have up in the Paladin specific hero talent tree here. So really, the Templar and the Dawn Light stuff, this is great. And then also the Flash Heal buff is pretty cool. So we'll be able to play with Selfless Healer. And then everything else is either net neutral or kind of a nerf. Overall, I think Ret is going to be decent. We're probably going to be around the same power level as we are right now. Our abilities might feel nicer to push. But I really hope we continue to see some iteration in this patch regarding the PvP talents. I'll make a video in the future because I've rambled long enough about what I think would be really cool to see that also would not be super, super busted in PvP. Just some kind of fun, interesting talents that hopefully aren't too hard to implement. But again, future video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time. Peace.